When it comes to nature, beauty and sightseeing in Ghana, you cannot take out the extraordinarily splendid topography of the settlements that lie on the eastern corridor of the country, blessed with mountain ranges, rivers, valleys, unspoiled forest, and so on and so forth. That is the Volta region. Today on Joy Prime Explore, we find ourselves in Ho, the capital of the Volta region. The town is blessed with caring, friendly, and brave people. They also are hardworking, dedicated, and loyal in the discharge of their responsibilities. Truly, the people colloquially referred to as Number 9 are unique. Our focus for the moment, however, is not Ho, but a settlement made up of a number of villages about 12 kilometers from Ho. We drove to Adaklu, where we came face to face with the majestic Adaklu mountain. This mountain is one of the highest in Ghana at about 580 meters above sea level and is venerated by the inhabitants of nearby villages. Once we found ourselves at the base of the mountain, we were met by a rather friendly local who offered to tell us the story and the history behind the beautiful mountain. Roger Avonyo of Adaklu Tours, whose grandfather was part of the early settlers on the mountain and its environs, shared what he knew.
Alright guys, welcome once again. This is Adaklu Tour Center. This is where we receive briefing before we start the hike, and we have some guidelines here, some tips here for you to follow before you start hiking. Professionally, there are some do's and don'ts when you are coming to hike, and we try to capture some few of these rules. For example, you need to know your rules, you need to stay on the official trail, you need to check the weather, you need to, have proper support in terms of first aid. You need to be in the right attire. You don't have to litter the place. No alcohol, strictly no alcohol, because this is quite challenging. And if you try that, you know what will happen to you. And then also, you don't try to invade or encroach other private lands outside of the trail. And then you do not actually harm the animals or creatures that you can find here. Basically, like I was saying, our forefathers arrived here some 400 years ago, and they were settling on top of the mountain. As earlier said, because of war and other things, they decided to be at the top, and because of the fertility of the grounds, they were there also farming for subsistence consumption and stuff like that. As civilization comes and development arrives, they started drifting down because the main road actually passes downstream, and they need to come down. So they basically came down and settled first of all at the middle of the slope somewhere, and then later to the foot of the mountain proper. We call that place Bohome, and till date we still have some relics, some antique stuff, and their old building foundations could be found at that place. Way back is quite interesting. They used to grind their stuff, as in food, corn and stuff, on stones, and you can see those stones there. Some of them are still there as at now. They grind their medicine and stuff on those stones to treat themselves. life was quite interesting, but also simple. You know, they used to consume a lot of organic stuff and all that. So there is a belief, I think it's also scientific, that people who live on mountains or at the foot of mountains live long. And I happened to meet some of these old people, you know, when we're growing up. People were like 120, 130 and stuff. I guess it's because of, you know, the hiking is quite an exercise, and also the fresh oxygen that comes from the mountain. There is also, you know, on top of the mountain, or I think because of geographical activities, all the necessary ingredients for cultivation or farming is also present in the soil. And so anything they put here without farm inputs and stuff, they are able to get very good farm produce, and I guess it's rich and it's okay for their body. So one of the things I've experienced here is people hardly fall sick, and you can see someone like 80, 90 years, they still go to farm at least at the foot of the mountain, middle way, and it's interesting. You don't see these things in the cities, and so we are motivated to actually come here and develop this place to a destination where people can come and enjoy. Over 30-something years ago, when I was a young chap, I used to live on this mountain with my grandfather. You know, he had his farm there, he had his farmhouse there, and he used to farm there. And we arrived there, you know, and whilst I was young, and you know, it was quite interesting. He showed me few things there, some of the remains or the relics by the forefathers. For example, he showed me a very big pot that contained cowries. Apparently these cowries you know, were money that they used to spend, and the story behind it you know, is so pathetic. He said when, you know, Ghana became independent and they were supposed to have changed these cowries to actual pounds, money, you know, they did not get this information. So they couldn't bring their cowries, you know, to exchange it for actual, you know, money. And so the whole wealth remained there. And that, I mean, it's so sad. And he showed it to me. These are, you know, evidence of their stay on top of that mountain. For me, the experience there at night, you know, is quite interesting. I mean, it was both scary and also sometimes I feel happy about it. At night, you hear all the strange cries or noise from animals. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and you see pythons, you know, the trail of pythons crawling past the, you know, the middle of the hamlets or the farmhouse and stuff like that. We only used to put a trap, you know, at the farmhouse, you know, in front of the farmhouse, and we could actually trap animals, you know, that we could use for food and stuff. Grass cutters, other rodents, and sometimes you could even, you know, we caught snakes and very wild snakes and that kind of thing. There are also interesting stuff. You know, these olden guys, you think they are not smart, but they are smart. There is a bird that, you know, cries or every hourly, and once we hear that, he tells me that, you know, it's 12 o'clock or it's 3 o'clock, that kind of thing. I think that bird is called a vessel or something. They basically had everything in their own natural way. You know, they had ropes, they have trees that, you know, could keep fire for like months. You come back, you just blow air, and then you set up, you know, your fire to cook. In the evenings, you know, the breeze here is fantastic. That is why we put up that bar at the foot of the mountain. You know, you sometimes need to come with your jacket. Otherwise, it's so cold and it's so breezy. And it's a getaway place from the main city. It's a hideout for people who need privacy. They need to calm down and relax from, you know, busy schedules and stuff like that. At the foot there, We have continental dishes in the evening, like small chops. You can have your jollof, you can have your fried yam with chicken wings and pork. And you know, with your ice cold beer, you are able to unwind and, you know, relax and then re-energize yourself for the next day activities and stuff like that. It's quite interesting during occasions. We do organize hiking to the top of the mountain, and people come, they walk all the way from the stopover point to the oxygen garden. There's an oxygen garden at the top here among the baobabs. That is where the old town used to be, of course the recognized old town. We actually have an ultimate plan to link this mountain to the Galenkui mountain of Ho. We want to put up a cable car. This is part of our master plan, so that people can fly or can be on a cable car from the Adaklu mountain all the way to Galenkuito, which is going to be an interesting experience actually. Hopefully the first of its kind in Ghana and probably West Africa, I guess. Before that, we would also want to go into a hot air balloon, because you all agree with me that not everybody can hike, you know, or have the strength to hike to the top. So we are developing means to, you know, actually make the peak of the mountain 600 meters above sea level accessible to, you know, large number of people, so everybody can experience what we are talking about. We would also want to improve the trail, which we have started from the information center all the way to the oxygen garden. We want to actually construct the trails, make it professional and safe for hikers. What I'm stepping on here is something like a mortar, within which they used to grind medicine and other food items like corn, beans, you know, to prepare food. And you know, way back, these are not even medieval ages, but you know, quite recently there were no mortars and there were no home appliances. There wasn't even light here, and so you know, these are some of the things they use. This is an evidence for you to see that people actually lived here, and we are trying to, with time, preserve some of these things for, you know, tourists to, you know, actually see. Okay guys, so this is like the first resting point from the information center by the roadside, about 200 meters to the oxygen garden. You can take a rest here whilst we move to the interesting oxygen garden, full of baobab trees, palm trees, and other trees that we are trying to develop to a base camp where people can actually come for picnic, for camping, and other things. Even religious groups are also invited. They can spend time here for retreats, for spiritual activities. They can pray, because the place is serene and the air quality is very high. Pure oxygen here from the mountainside. You can never get this from anywhere. And we have quite a large area where people can actually sleep. They can do their parties. We have invested in some bamboo seats, as you can start seeing here, you know, for your relaxation. In the afternoon also, when you know, the weather is so warm, you can actually come here and take a rest. You can read. We encourage the kids in the community, they can come and relax here. They can read here because there are no disturbances here. And eventually, we would like to be putting up some chalets here that people can actually lodge and pass the night here and experience actually the environment here and the proper oxygen here. You know, these are some of the interesting things here. Sometimes, you know, because of the the wind or storm and stuff like that, you actually experience some serious breeze. So we encourage people to actually prepare well before they come here. It's quite an experience from the city when you come here. We sometimes would get you palm wine, fresh palm wine, you know, in the in the palm orchard here. You can relax here and enjoy your palm wine and stuff like that. You can see all these bamboo seeds all over the place. It's still work in progress anyway. We will be growing some sort of grass here to make it a natural park. And also downstream, we will be creating a dam here where the runoffs or the water from the top of the mountain will be collected, and then probably put a boat on it and put some beds on it to be playing. You know, that will be quite interesting for people. We just want to make sure that we conserve all these places and make sure that we assimilate well again into nature for people to experience that kind of lifestyle. I mean, the concrete jungle stuff in the cities, everybody, the pollution, everybody is getting fed up with it. And so these are the things that eventually we wish to achieve. Now from this point, you know, people rest here, they are briefed again before they start hiking. The actual mountain, whilst you start climbing, you realize that the height or the look start reducing from your view. It starts all the way somewhere here, you know, through this way. Now you can see that it's not that tall after all. But when you are downstream and you look at it, you think that it's so huge. But once you start climbing, you know, you start seeing that it's quite easy to go. And so from here, we allow people to start their hiking expedition all the way to the top. You know, way back, there are these stories of, you know, wild animals and stuff like that. But now there are no such incidents. Thankfully, the game reserve is just at the other side of the mountain. I can tell you for sure, we got some buffaloes, antelopes and other things there, you know, but they are quite few. And so we don't quite have this incidence of they escaping often to this side. Once a while, you might see them, but they are not also harmful. I think normally they are running for their lives. And so it's not quite a scary situation. You are here, you are looking at Ho at night. The view is so amazing. You see the lights and you see, you know, the length, the breadth, I mean, the two sides of Ho, and it's so beautiful. And so I'm encouraging people to come for picnicking, music, good food, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You don't have to be left out. You have it right here, you know, at your doorstep, and the experience is going to be amazing. Thank you so much, you guys coming and doing such a great job exposing what we are trying to do here. Thank you very much.
Well, you have heard it all. As to whether to hike up the mountain that takes about 3 hours is another matter altogether. But clearly, this seems fascinating and challenging. Known as the Sleeping Lion, Adaklu Mountain can be seen from Ho and its environs. Challenge yourself, and once you conquer it, you can be sure to be one of the very few people to have achieved this feat. Adaklu Mountain awaits you with open arms. Mount Afaja is obviously synonymous with most nature lovers in Ghana and around the world. But what they probably do not know is that there is a hidden gem a few kilometers in the shadows of this great mountain. Located in the forest that borders Ghana with Togo, through thick and edgy paths is the Tagbo waterfalls. The water from the falls actually flows from the Togo ranges into Ghana. Interesting, right? As curious as we were, we decided to make our way by the help of a local guide from the nearby village of Liati Water. Richard Donko led the way to the waterfalls.
Okay, so this is the base of the waterfall and the mountain. We are going to take this path. It's about 45 minutes walk from here to the place. Okay. Okay, this is the first bridge going to the waterfall. As you can see, you can hear the water voice. It's flowing up and down here. You're on it. It's all about to get there. As you can see, it looks like you're in the bush. Yeah. Okay. So on our way, the second bridge, of course. Yeah, you're on the second bridge. One more bridge. Yeah, you're in the bush. On our way to the place. Fine.
At a point in our journey, our guide stopped at a particular place behind which stood Eduadu Peak, higher than Mount Afajato. So, why is that not the highest in Ghana? The reason is, though it can be viewed from the forest in Ghana, it is actually regarded as part of the Togo ranges, Richard explains.
So this mountain, Adu that you are talking about now, is over 895 meters above sea level. And the reason why we use the name for it, Adu, is when our forefathers settled in Ghana, they found out that no, they're having wild animals chasing them, chasing their plants, destroying their things. So they find, oh, okay, if that's the case, let us kill the animals with our guns. First, they were not having something like gun. They use arrows to destroy the animals. So when they get there, they see the mountain. Oh, this mountain is full of stone. Nothing can climb the mountain except them. So they have to find a way. So on their way to the mountain, they saw something like a leaf, but it's called in our language Ewe Adu. Like there's some of the stones today are like sharp enough, so we're not having slippers and those kind of things. So the stones have been disturbing the of cutting their legs. So when this leaf touches your leg, oh, it's very, very bad. It's used to eat the body and even get you more dangerous injuries. Yeah, so the leaf is called Adu. So the first visitors that came here, oh, they don't know how to say it, so they have to put it in long manner just to mention it easy for them, because the alphabet B and our language is B, and the whites, they are not having those kinds of alphabet, so they used to call it Abu. So they mentioned it twice, and we said that, oh, okay, if that's the thing, then let's all change it into Adu. So that's the history of the mountain, Adu. Okay. We are on the way going. As you can see, we are descending. Yes, finally, we are at the third bridge. Yes, this is the third bridge, of course. It's very beautiful. Yeah, so we are on our way to the top just to finish it up.
After crossing a number of bridges and overcoming challenging slopes, we found ourselves at the entrance of the beautiful Tagbo Waterfalls.
Okay, now we are at the Tagbo Waterfall. Yeah, it's about 7.5 meters and it's also partly from Togo. Initially, when our forefathers settled at Liati, where we are staying now, before traveling to this place, or before walking to this place over about 45 minutes, yeah. First, our forefathers used to hunt and fish. Fishing and hunting, these two things are the actual work that our forefathers have been doing just to cater for themselves. So when our forefathers were hunting and they are on their way, they used to feed on this water. So the water have a path through here to the town and end at the town and continue to Vota Lake. So our Tagbo Waterfall you are seeing now join Vota Lake. And when our forefathers were traveling, they want to check out where the water is coming from actually. So they only know that it was waterfall or anything, they thought it's just flow level. So when our forefathers were here, were coming closer, they found out that, oh, they can hear something like a sound. So they decided to trace the sound just to check what is happening. So one of our forefathers were leading them, and to see something new, you have to tell your friends to stop back so that you alone, you can have a look at it. Before, if it is a good thing, before you can call your friends to join. So the old man among them walked straight to this place and found out that, oh, the place was a level place and at the same time like a waterfall. So before getting here, they found a mound at the middle of the river. So the first moment he saw the old man, he just used to call him Togbi. Togbi. This Togbi is a special name given to any person that is older than you. Yes, this is a name, Togbi. It's very, very important because to be older than somebody is not difficult. Yes, so we used to respect this name actually. So when our first visitors were here, they couldn't mention the Togbi. So what they just mentioned is Tagbo. And we check out, we see that, oh, they are all in one sentence, like it's okay. So they make us change the name to Togbi or the name. So it's two things, you can call it Togbi or Tagbo. But normally we used to call it Tagbo because of our strangers. It's not everybody that is coming from Ghana. We have some people from different countries that used to visit here. As you can see, it's very beautiful. You can relax, fresh air, normal. So it's also part of life. You need to experience some things that you feel like enjoying. This place, you can come here for a week, nothing will harm you, nothing will disturb you. It's cool.
Visitors are allowed to swim in the pool, but are cautioned to act with care while enjoying nature. That's it for now. So the next time you decide to go on a hike up Afajato, consider visiting Tagbo Waterfalls. This has been another episode of Joy Prime Explore. Where do we go next? Join us next week for another exciting episode of this show.